Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammā sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammā sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammā sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saranam gacchāmi, Dhammam saranam gacchāmi, Sangham saranam gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saranam gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saranam gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Sangham saranam gacchāmi. Panatipata viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinnādāna viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kāmesu micchāchāra viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musāvādā viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Surameraya majjapama dattana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now the test. It's been a short while, short time learning some meditation, practicing some meditation. As always, before we start, make sure you sit properly, balanced and relaxed. Take some time when you practice on your own, always take some time to make sure to check your posture. You're sitting with your legs folded comfortably or sitting on a chair, placing both feet on the ground in a balanced way so that you don't have to move too much during the meditation. And the less you move, the easier to focus. Use cushions or any kind of support that you need, and choose the posture which suits you best. If you're doing at home, of course, just check around that everything is, the windows are secure, the door is locked, there's no kettle in the kitchen boiling and so on, things like that, so that you don't have to start thinking about those things once you start meditating. You can also meditate in the open air, under a tree, in some place that you like. We will do some breath meditation. Just breathe normally. Relax, breathing like a baby breathing. We're using the breath as the mental focus. So we direct all our attention to the breath. As you do that, you may notice sounds. You might even feel tingling feeling, ticklish feeling on your skin. You might begin to feel some kind of discomfort even. It just means that your senses are becoming more sensitive because you are more aware, more mindful, and you're on the right track. Your meditation has begun. One easy way to push away distraction is just to smile at it. In fact, you don't push it away. When you smile at it, it will quietly go into the background. It's still there, but your mind is not watching it. Or you can label. For example, if it is sound, just label it at the ear door. Sound, 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 2-3 times. Smile at it. it go back to the breath. Same thing with thoughts. If there are lots of thoughts, don't fight the thoughts. Just stop your meditation. Direct your mind, watch those thoughts, label them, thinking, smile at the thoughts, let them go. Then go back to the breath. In stage 1, we normally start with the counting. This is an optional stage. If it works for you, use it. Breathe in, breathe out, count 1. In, out, 2. In, out, 3. In, out, 4. In, out, 5. And then start with 1 again. 1 to 5, 1 to 5. Or you can count up to 10, 1 to 10. Do not go beyond 10, it's too big. Do not count less than 5, it's too small. If you make any mistake in the counting, it's all right. Just go back to number 1. Start with 1 all over again. So breathe in, out, count, and smile. Keep your breathing relaxed. Sometimes the breath may go fast, sometimes it slows down. Sometimes it is deep, sometimes it is shallow. Just be aware of it. If for any reason you find the counting difficult or you don't like it, it's all right. You can go straight into the second stage. Second stage is in, out. Your breath has come in, simply note it as in. When your breath has gone out, simply note it as out. Each time, smile after that. The smiling helps you to focus better. So count as long as you like, if it keeps you calm and peaceful. Once you feel ready, that means you feel very calm, very peaceful, even without counting, then you're ready for stage 2. In, out, in, out. Now stage 1, stage 2, put in all the effort that you can. In stage 1, stage 2, you can guide your meditation. But stage 3 and 4, they just happen depending on how well you sit in stage 2. So you cannot make stage 3 happen. You just keep focus on stage 2, in, out, in, out. Then you begin to notice The spaces between in and out become longer, more peaceful, but no rush. When you notice the spaces getting longer, just smile at those spaces. In, space, out, space, like that. Once you notice the spaces, they're very peaceful or even joyful, that is stage 3. Once you're good in your meditation, you don't worry about the stages. All this will happen quite spontaneously. Sometimes you may even see the sense of brightness. But since your eyes are closed, this is not the light outside. This is your own, the mind's light, the brightness in your own mind. When those spaces arise, just let them stay as long as possible by doing nothing except maybe smiling gently, as if you're watching some rare animal that is wandering in the forest and you are watching from what's called a hide in the tree. So you're very quiet. So watch that stillness, smile at it. If you notice any distraction that feels like coming, you can gently whisper, peaceful, peaceful, and smile. That's how you maintain the peace, the silence. The silent gaps are not always equal, sometimes long, sometimes short. Sometimes they take longer to arise, it's okay. As you practice, you begin to understand how your mind works. And you know the right conditions. Your conditions are always letting go, renouncing. The more you let go, the greater the peace. Stage 4 is even more tricky in the sense that you don't have to do anything. Because in stage 4 is so peaceful, you don't feel like saying anything at all. Maybe just smile because you feel so happy. Smile at the peace, maybe the brightness. If you are diligent in your meditation, the stage 4 may last quite long, even up to 1 hour or longer. But as a beginner, it's all right. Just 5-10 minutes are very good. This is a lifelong practice, so build it up day by day, bit by bit. At this point, please review your practice. Remember how it feels to be peaceful, even joyful. Remember all those wonderful states. It will help you in your future meditations. Also remember any difficulties or distractions so that you can learn some strategies and ways of overcoming them the next time. You're better prepared the next time. So this is called reviewing your practice. This is also the time you can make notes if you like. The end of your sitting. And when you're ready, just open your eyes. You're sitting, just sitting for a short while. We begin our meditation slowly, gently. We end it also slowly, gently. Right, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now we will start with our Sat study. So I have to try everyone's getting the screen, right?
Okay, very good.
Yeah. Okay, this is our 5th lesson in the training for the path, where we looked at the Eightfold Path in practical details. In the previous lesson, we talked of the first factor, first limb, that is right view. Then today we'll look at the second factor. If you like, the second, in the wheel with the 8 spokes, the second spoke, if you like, the second factor, right intention, also translated as right thought. Now, we should remember although we say it's the Eightfold Path, sometimes it is presented as a wheel with 8 spokes. So all the 8 spokes, they kind of support this wheel. So that's another meaning. The 8 parts or the 8 factors, the 8 limbs work together. The imagery of the path means you have to take the journey, you have to walk, you have to do it yourself, you have to make the effort, all right? I'm going to start off today by talking a couple of interesting ways of preparing ourselves to study the Sutta so that we have a better understanding what the path is, how to practice it. So I've called this the Sutta learning skills. Okay? So there are 2 aspects. To master Sutta study for Dhamma practice, right? We have 2 tips. You have to understand what is called polysemy, and number 2, intentional language. Both of these have to do with language, or number 1 has to do with words, number 2 has to do with language. So this word poly means many, semi means senses or meaning, like so. It's very important to remember many of the Pali words, the important Pali words have got many meanings. One of the most polysemic word in Pali, or indeed in religious language, is the word Dhamma or Dharma. It's got, I don't know, perhaps nearly 100 meanings depending on the situation. You find some scholars have even written a book on this. One German scholar wrote a book and analyzed some 50 meanings of Dhamma. Another scholar called Ross Carter, I think he analyzed some 30 meanings. But of course, if you look at the various contexts and so on, you can even get more senses of the word Dhamma. In other words, many of these Pali words in the suttas, they are contextual. You have to look at the context. What is the Buddha trying to say? The Buddha is not talking something technical. He's talking about his experience. And he's using words to describe his experience over 45 years. So he's not like planning, say, okay, there's this exact word for this. It's not like that. Now, in our times, we tend to think like that because English is, in a sense, very exact. We try to, the problem with being exact means the language becomes technical, like scientific language, and they have good reasons to do that. But then when you're talking about experience, you're talking about joy and peace and awakening. That kind of technicality will limit the freedom of your mind. Science measures, whereas the Dhamma frees us, liberates us. So it's quite in the opposite direction. So polysemy means having many senses, and intentional language is where you find sometimes the words are not what they mean. Yes, that you can talk of them in the daily meaning, but that's not how it is used. I'll show you the example, very remarkable example in a while. So here we see the Buddha using language to break our attachment to concepts. Now we have a lot of concepts: good, bad, ugly, beautiful, happy, sad. But then, we all know many of these words are relative. And we often can say one thing, but we really mean something else. And then sometimes we can't even describe certain thing, which is so personal, so real, but very difficult to find the words for it. A simple example is when you're really happy, and everyone knows this. When you're very happy, you finally got something that you've been wanting for so long, you're so happy, and then someone asks you, how do you feel? If you give a long lecture, it means you're not really happy. Your usual reaction will be, oh, I don't know what to say, right? And that's the right answer. There are no words for it because you're happy. See? So in meditation also it's like that. When you're doing your meditation well, you are focused, you are kind of really enjoying it, no words, no language, no mental chatter will arise, okay? So intentional language means the Buddha uses language to break our attachment to language. Okay, first let's look at the meaning of polysemy. Okay, this is from another book, from the first volume, ST 1.1, which is the Dhammacakka Sutta, section 445. There's a bit of some notes on polysemy. Okay, there's this scholar whom I had known through the internet, and we communicated through email, Brian Lefman, I think from Canada. In his PhD thesis, he makes this interesting note on polysemy. He says, language in the early Buddhist suttas mirrors the interdependent nature of life. Okay, so there is this interconnection of life, and sutta language reflects this interconnection. Nothing is separate in itself. There was nothing absolute about the meaning. There is no fixed sense, there's no total sense even. They all relate to each other. And one used words in full awareness of their conventional applicability. So a good Dhamma teacher, a good Dhamma student will know that language of their words have their limit, language of their limit. So whenever we listen to something from the sutta, we always give a space, we wait what comes next, and then at the end of the sutta, we reflect and connect them all together. And usefulness in describing integrating phenomena. It's a very interesting word, integrating, interconnectedness in the gradually flowing to one another. In other words, the words are used to help us see the connection, how the ideas flow into each other, and gradually deepening. The sense, the meaning becoming deeper gradually. Like milk, cream, curds, and various kinds of self, right? So if milk stays too long, you open, it becomes cream and curds and so on. Then you have different ideas of the self, right? Of course, there is the I am talking, that I, which is conventional, but the I, which is fixed, there's no such thing. So there are many meanings of words. So this is an example. You see here a scholar telling us in a very nice way the meaning of polysemy, how Pali words have, a single Pali word has many meanings, many of which, or even all of which, can apply at the same time. So here, the last line, Brian says, without being misled by their supposed reality, right? So we listen to the words, we give space, we never say, that's it, this is the final answer, everyone is wrong, this is right. People who talk like that, you find after a few years, they will change their mind, okay? So This is the meaning of polysemy. Another example of polysemy is, here's one word. I mentioned atta, I mentioned Dhamma earlier. Here's another word, atta. Now, first of all, notice atta, A-T-T-H-A, has got no dots, whereas the word atta with a dot, T dot. So that you have two words here. The first atta is called a dental sound. Dental, that means the sound is produced with the tongue touching the teeth. Atta, the T, when you say T, at, the tongue, the tip of the tongue touches the back of the upper row of teeth. That's called dental. These are dental sound. The, n. Okay, T, Th, D, Dh, n with a dot. Normal letters, like normal English letters. Atta. And then there's the other word is atta with a dot underneath. In this case, you pronounce the T by curling your tongue up, touching the palate, the top part of your mouth. Atta. The Indians are good at this, and we don't normally do this, but at least from the spelling, you should be able to differentiate. Atta with a dot, T dot, means 8. The other atta is polysemy. It's got a number of meanings. The first set of meaning, it means purpose, goal, aim, goal, result, end. Okay, like for example, going to nirvana, that's atta. Okay, and then a second set of meanings, it means use, usefulness, need, want, even desires. So it is a second set of meanings depending on the context. And on the right-hand side here, you see the references. You can look up in the first case, Samyutta, Volume 1, page 110, line 27. This asterisk here means it is a verse. It is in verse. Right? Now, for the second meaning, you can see examples in the Sutta Nipata, verse 21 and verse 331. Now, the third set of meanings of atta means advantage, benefit, interest, and one's good. Notice the words they have different senses which are interconnected. Number 4 is quite easy, it means welfare. Okay. Sense number 3 is found in Anguttara, and sense number 4 is found in the Vinaya. And the fifth meaning, there are a few others. These are the key meanings. Fifth set of meaning is thing, matter, question, affair, business, case, occasion. All right. So this is found in the Digha Nikaya. So this is just to show you a sample how Pali words can have many meanings. But when you look at the context and you know your Dhamma, your practice, you find it's not difficult to understand this. Now, what is even more interesting is intentional language. Now, this is taken from SD 10.6, section 7. This is from Dhammapada 97. This is one of the most enigmatic, one of the strangest verses in religious history. Let's start. Now, this is the first line. Asaddo akatanyu cha. Okay, this is the Pali. So if people who only know a bit of Pali, they're not really Buddhists, and you know how there's so many Dhammapada books being published, you'll find that they translate this very badly. So they will translate this literally. Asaddo. Saddo means to have faith. Asaddo means to have no faith. Now, this is an adjective. So you can see the meaning here in the blue below. The man without faith. Right here, see? The man without faith. And then cha is put at the end, it means end. Now katanyu means one who knows what has been, the good that has been done, so to show gratitude. Here, akatanyu, one who knows no gratitude. Okay, so these are all negative senses, all right? Also strange. And then the next line, sandichedo chayo naro. Okay, now naro means man, okay? Here it's not translated, okay, so that yo is just a term like which, but here you translate as any man or a man. Sandi means wall, here representing a house. Chedo means who breaks. So here the translation is, who is a housebreaker, a thief in other words, okay? A man who is a thief, right? Okay, now next one. Hatawakaso wantaso. Hatawakaso, okay. Awakaso means opportunity, opening. Hata, destroy. Who has destroyed his opportunity? Wantaso is a really weird word. Okay, wantaso literally means who is an eater of vomit. Sounds terrible, huh? But well, that's the Pali word, right? Last line. Sawe utama puriso, poriso. Okay. He, where is a kind of like indeed, emphatic word. Utama here translates extreme, extreme audacity, a person of extreme audacity. All right. It doesn't really make much sense. How can the Buddha be saying such a very strange negative things, like a man without faith who knows no gratitude, who is a housebreaker, who has destroyed his opportunity, who has eaten of vomit, is indeed one of extreme audacity. This is a kind of a trick verse to trick those who simply translate without knowing the Dhamma. So they translate Pali literally, and you get yourself into this really messy situation. But if you study the commentaries and you look at the other teachings and you combine them, this is from Dhammapada 97. And you can see here, this is the Pali, this is Sanskrit Udana Varga. Udana Varga is a Sanskrit version. Chapter 29, verse 23, you have similar verse in Sanskrit. Now let's translate this the Dhamma way, positive Dhamma sense, right? Compared to the negative literal sense. All right, here you are. Asado. Now again, look at asado. Which is a negative word, can also means without faith or faith-free. He doesn't depend on faith, like Sariputta. He doesn't depend on faith, like Chitta, the householder. He doesn't depend on faith. They claim they understand the Buddha through wisdom, and then faith comes in. So in that sense, they are faith-free. Another meaning is they are without negative desire. Then akatanyo, again, there's a play on word here. Here, kata is the key word. Kata means that which is made, okay? And then there's a in front, means not made. Now, if you see words like not made, you know this kind of points to nirvana. And the new at the ending means one who knows the unmade. And this makes really good sense. Who knows the unmade, who has attained nirvana, who sees nirvana. And then this brown line here, who has cut off the link. Sandhi here is also means link, connection to the world, okay? Jedo, cut, same meaning. The person or the man who has cut off the link to cut off attachment and so on. Who has got rid of the occasions, okay? Here you are, awakaso is occasion. Who, hata means got rid of, okay? For quarrels and rebirth. And the meaning of wantaso is different now. Who is an eater of what is abandoned by others. In other words, what is given away as alms. So now we know this is like a coded message the Buddha is giving us, talking about the Arahat. Okay. The last time said he is indeed the highest of person. So look at this positive translation again. The man who is faith-free, without desire, who knows the unmade, who has cut off the link, who has got rid of the occasions for quarrels and rebirth, who is an eater of what is abandoned by others, he is indeed the highest person, Uttama, highest, Poriso person. Right? I'm just giving a quick summary here. You want the details, you go to SD 10.6, section 7. Okay, you can read this in more detail. Right, so there you are. That's an example of how sometimes language can be quite tricky, how it is intended to be used. And our topic is intention. The word used here is saṅkappa. Okay, so here again, let us look a little closer at this word used for intention, saṅkappa. How do we get this word? Okay, scholars use the word resolve. We resolve this compound. In other words, we break the word up into its parts. You have sang in front, okay, which is a prefix, and then there is the root, kalp. This is the root is usually in Sanskrit because Sanskrit is older. So let me explain sang first, okay? Now sang is like Latin com and con, okay? It's a prefix. It shows togetherness, combination, and so on. Now you notice in English, we can see com in, for example, complete. Complete. You also see com in content. But notice, complete, it is C-O-M. Why is it M? Because of the following P. M and then P. So the sound comes from the lips. They're called labial. So the sounds are positioned at the lips. So it is easy to say complete rather than complete. You know, then you have to move quite a linguistic distance, so to speak. M and P belong to what is called the labial letters. On the other hand, we say content. Content, C-O-N, not M, but C-O-N and then tent, content. Now, if you pronounce content, you find the sound comes from the teeth. And it's very easy to pronounce it from the N, you jump to the T. This is called the Sandhi rules, S-A-N-D-H-I in Pali. So kom here, or sang here in Pali means togetherness or bringing together. And then the root kalp means to be in order, capable, suitable. So these roots have very basic fundamental meaning, then they're combined prefixes and infixes, suffixes, and you get words. So here, kalp in Sanskrit becomes kalpa. Kalpa is called a stem word. In Pali, it becomes kappa. Okay, so kappa here means to think. Again here, kappa is a number of other meanings. Kappa also means a world cycle, but here it means to think. Okay, so sang plus kappa, and we get saṅkappa. Okay, so the raw meaning, the basic meaning of saṅkappa is putting together in the mind. Okay, so thought construction, usually in reference to perceiving a sense object, right? And making something of it. So here the mind looks at something and then creates stories about it, and then kind of ideas arise and the mind does something with this idea, making up things, so to speak. The opposite of this is a very beautiful ancient word called atamayata. Okay, so which you can, there's a whole article on atamayata, ST 19.13, which you can read. Atamayata means having nothing to do with that, letting go of that, the ultimate renunciation. Maybe one day we might talk about this, right? So saṅkappa, putting together in the mind of normally rooted in greed, hate, or delusion. So saṅkappa itself is polysemic. That is why I started off by telling you what polysemy means. Saṅkappa has many meanings. Okay, so if you look at the Mahachattarisaka Sutta M117, there the Buddha says, "And bhikshus, what is the right thought that is noble without influx, supramundane, perfecta?" Okay, so here the Buddha is talking about the arahats, right thought, or the right thought of a stream winner, for example. He defines this in the case of this, the saints of the path. The right thought means thinking, thought, intention, and the Pali words are here. Tako, taka or tako is thinking. Okay, and then now in Malay it becomes taka, by the way, it means to guess. Okay, but here Pali taka means thinking. With taka means thought. Actually, both can mean thinking, but it's easier to understand in English. We say thought. Saṅkappa, we already mentioned, translated here as intention. Mental focus, apana. Okay, apana also translated as full mental focus. Okay, and then vyapana. Notice here again, there's pana here at the end. So it means mental fixity, mental fixed focus. Okay, directing of the mind. Cetaso abhiniropana. So all this have to do with the word saṅkappa. Okay, so they are interconnected. Verbal formation, right? It's because of thoughts in our mind that they transform into words when we express outwardly. So it's called vaci saṅkharo. Okay, the word saṅkharo also means formation, by the way. Okay, we have a second meaning of right thought from the same sutta, M117. Bhikshus, there are two kinds of right thought. The first one already mentioned. There are two kinds of right thoughts, I say. Bhikshus, there is the right thought with influxes, partaking of merit, ripening in birth, basis, or acquisition of aggregates. So this is the kind of right thought that you and I, who are unawakened, we have this when we practice the Dhamma. So with influxes, that means we still have sensual desire, views, and ideas of existence and ignorance, and we create karma, and we are reborn. Okay, we do good and bad merits. So in other words, this keeps us in samsara, right? Here we translate as, or rather, includes thought of renunciation, thought of non-ill will, thought of non-violence. So these are the component qualities of right thought. Okay, we are going to look at each of these in detail in a moment. So in Pali, thought of renunciation is nekkhamma saṅkappa. All right. Thought of non-ill will. Here you have non-negative in front. Avyapada. So in other words, the ill will is vyapada. Here's avyapada, non-ill will saṅkappa. Then the third one is thought of non-violence. Avihingsa saṅkappa. Now notice here means not, vihingsa means violence, and this is a feminine word, by the way. No? Saṅkappa. Okay, thought of non-violence. Okay, so these are the three components of right thought. Okay, what about wrong thought? No, wrong here is miccha saṅkappa. Right thought is sammā saṅkappa. Okay, wrong thought is thought of sensual desire, thought of ill will, thought of violence, which is opposite of the three here. All right, so this is some basic Pali. And here you are. Oops, we have the Pali words here. Thoughts of sensual desire is kama saṅkappa. Notice how kama is spelled. K long R M A. Okay, so Pali is easy to learn because what you see is what you get. You pronounce it the way it is spelled. Kama. Okay, not kamma. Okay, because then it refers to something else. Here's kama. Okay. And you don't say kama, okay? You say kama, long. It is two bits. The letter A with a line over it. The line over it is called a macron. It gives two counts to the syllable. Kama, okay? Kama saṅkappa, vyapada saṅkappa. Again, the two long vowels there. Vyapada saṅkappa. And then notice the n has got a superior dot, there's a dot over the n, so it's a value of ng, saṅkappa, right? In fact, before the k, you have to pronounce it saṅ, in other words, nasal, saṅkappa, right? You cannot say saṅkappa, it's not an n, it's an saṅkappa. So that's easy, there's a flow of your breath. Vihingsa saṅkappa, not of violence. So these are some Pali words to reflect on. Now, how does right intention work? Here again, we go to the sutta on the Great 40s, Mahachattari Saka Sutta, M117, found in SD 6.10. One who makes an effort to give up wrong thought, to cultivate right thought, that is right effort. So here again, you see the factors of the A4 part are interconnected. They help to define one another in terms of practice. One who is mindful gives up wrong thought and dwells cultivating right thought. This is one's right mindfulness. So you see how right effort leads to right mindfulness. Of course, when you're practicing, you don't think of it as it, but here during study, we begin to look back and see what's going on. We understand the process better, and then we practice better too. Thus, these three things run along with right thought, turn around it. That is to say, right view, right effort, right mindfulness, right? So guided by right thought, we have right view. And then we make the right effort. And our mind is in the right place. The three work together, okay? So it's the mind behind the action, the intention of doing something. We are already getting a hint of that. We must have the proper intention in studying the suttas, in practicing the Dhamma. Next thing is we go into a bit of revision in terms of perception. This is in the other series, the BMM, the Body, Mind, and Meditation series on Sanya, which is the next round, by the way. The role of saṅkappa in perception. Okay, this is found in SD 1016, section 2.2. Perception or sanya is, what is it? It is how we recognize things. We look around and then, let's say you're walking in the dark and then you see a coil on the path in front of you. And it is a half light. So at once you shrink back because your first impulse is that, what is this? It's round and then it's there on the road. Your perception is it's a snake because you have seen snakes like that before. So it's a recognition of a shape in front of you. You project the idea, snake, and then you react accordingly, okay? So it's the perception of a snake that makes you react in that way. That reaction is karma formations, okay? Anyway, so this perception is looking at the present influenced by the past. Let's say you meet someone, this person you know before, you say, oh, I know this person. He's such a nasty guy. I'm not going to talk to him because from your past experience, you thought he was like that. So you think that now he's like that also. But then you didn't know that he has been attending sutta talks and meditating. He's more quiet now. So it's good if we look at people in the present moment, listen to them mindfully and patiently, and you find, oh, people have changed, right? And then you feel very happy. In fact, there's a very nice saying about this. You know, when someone says, oh, you have changed, it means they see you as different from what they expect of you, right? And usually when we say someone has changed, we hope it's in a good way. So perception is powerfully driven, or it occurs in this way. Okay, we have a diagram here. Perception is kind of both good and bad. It can be neutral also. So we briefly, how does perception occur once again? There is, take for example, there is the eye. It can be any of the other six senses. The eye sees form, and then there is attention. Eye, form, attention. This is a triangle of experience. There is contact. There is this sense of seeing. Okay, so that's the meaning here, perception. So when you see something, then you think about it. Second word here, thoughts, saṅkappa. From saññā, from perception, comes thoughts. And then from thoughts come desire. So here, desire, chanda, it refers to a broad sense, similar to tanha, or craving. We like something, we don't like something, okay? We like something when we see it as pleasant, we don't like it when it's not pleasant, but both are driven by the same idea of craving. So that's because of our thoughts. So thoughts lead to desires, desires lead to passion, parilaha, passion, and then that leads to searching. We want more and more of whatever we like. Now the meaning is given to you at the bottom here, okay? Now let's go back again one more time. Oops. Okay, let's look at perception. Okay, let me go back a bit. Yeah, perception. Okay, you can see the word here, the meaning here. The perception refers to our five senses. We see, hear, smell, taste, or touch. Of course, thinking is included, but thinking is behind all the five senses. Okay, so perception arises through the five physical senses to begin with, and then thoughts is where the mind comes in, the sixth sense. Okay. The mind decide, I like it, I don't like it, I remember this was nice, I remember that was not nice, and so on. So this is the sixth sense. And then as a result of thinking in this way, desire arises in the preconscious. The preconscious is the mind before you act, right? All this is mentioned in the BMM series. And once you decide something that you like, then passion arises. The unconscious takes over. The unconscious will push you further to act, and that's how you create karma. That's how the mind works. Okay, and then you go on looking for these things, the quest, the search. So in the Arya Pariyasana Sutta, the Buddha says, as a young man, he himself is subject to impermanence and decay, and he went on searching for those things which are impermanent and decay, and that's the ignoble quest. And then there is the noble quest. The noble quest is the quest for the truth. So here, when there is desire, we look for things connected with the desire. So that's not very wise. So this is how perception works with our intentions. Now, remember we talked about renunciation as the first component of right thought. Renunciation and the desirelessness often go together. You can read about this in section 231 and 16. On a worldly level, simple level, we can say that right intention is our resolve, our decision for renunciation or the desirelessness, letting go of desire. Okay, they mean the same thing, but there is a bit of difference. We should look at it in a while. And the opposite of this is sensual desire, trying to look for more and more things to feed our senses. Then there is non-ill will. On the worldly level, right intention is our resolve, our determination to cultivate non-ill will, avyapada. The positive word is metta, loving kindness. The opposite is ill will. So is hatred, if you like. Ill will, hatred. Vyapada. The third component of right intention is non-violence, or thought of non-violence, avihingsa, and which is compassion, karuna. Is the positive quality of it. Non-violence equals compassion. They're the same thing. Actually, is how they are spelled and spoken of. Opposite is violence or thought of violence, vihingsa, right? So this is to begin with, right intention has got these three components. To simplify, we can say renunciation, non-ill will, non-violence. Thought of renunciation, thought of non-ill will, thought of non-violence. That's called right intention. You let go. You have less and less desire. You have more metta. You're more kind and compassionate and forgiving. That's called right intention. And wrong intention is the opposite of it. Okay, I'm going to stop here for a while. We have a short break. Then I'm going to explain to you the meaning of nekkhamma, renunciation. This is a key practice in Buddhism, which we often do not hear about today, both for laymen and for monastics. The key idea in Buddhist practice is just this, and I'm going to explain to you the meaning of it in a moment, about roughly 5 minutes time. Let us continue. You can hear me, huh?
Yes.
Okay. So nekkhamma. Does nekkhamma mean renunciation or desirelessness? These are the two senses, two ways of looking at nekkhamma, what we understand normally as renunciation. Okay, so one way of looking at it is we can see nekkhamma as departing from greed. This is found in the Vibhanga commentary, Abhidhamma commentary, page 74, line 27. Okay. Lobha nikantata. Lobha means from desire, okay, from greed. Nikanta, to go away. There you can see here, nikanta is past participle for nikhamati. Kamati means to go, nis means away or out. Okay? Going. So here the tata at the end here makes it an abstract noun, the state of departing from greed. Lobha nikantata. Right? Going away from greed, giving up greed. Okay. So here we can see nis is a prefix meaning out or away, and then the root kram meaning to strike, to move, to walk. So this is it comes from the root meaning to walk, but to move perhaps is a better word here, to move away from greed, craving, last desire. So here we have a Sanskrit niskramya or naiskramya, meaning departure or renunciation from the world, going away from the world. Okay, so this is the meaning we got familiar with. The world here refers to our 5 physical senses. Okay? Because the world that we know is made up of what we see, hear, smell, taste, touch. And the last one, of course, what we think. So this is the first sense. We get nekkhamma from here. It's the first meaning. Now then, one more. Later we look at number 2, all right? So now we look at how avyapada and avihingsa fit in. So when we talk about right thought, the first component is non-desire. This is the second component, non-ill will, okay, avyapada. And it is another word for loving kindness, okay, which is the opposite of ill will. We mentioned that earlier. And then the third quality is non-violence, or ahimsa, which is compassion, opposite of violence. So notice, metta, karuna, loving kindness, compassion go together, okay, as a pair. Loving kindness is when things are okay, so we send out our acceptance of others just as they are, wishing them well and happy. Compassion is when people have difficulties and problems, and we can see it, and then we try to act it out. We try to show our loving kindness, put our loving kindness into action. Okay, and the opposite of it is to show violence. Okay, because of ill will. So that's the negative. That's the bad karma. Loving kindness means accepting others as we accept ourselves. And when that is put into action, it's called compassion. So compassion means being kind, forgiving of others, especially when they do not deserve it. So this comes from our right intention. So now when we talk of intention, we often think that you are aware what you're doing, that you break the precepts. And that is not correct, actually. Whether you are conscious or unconscious of your action, that if there is greed, hate, delusion, that is counted as intention. So this is something we need to be clear about. You can look up SD51.20, section 222. There's a section that you can read about this in more detail. So karma is still committed unconsciously, acittaka, or unmindfully, asampajana. Take, for example, let's say a butcher. Okay, a butcher is so used to killing animals that he doesn't think twice about it. But does that mean that it's okay that you keep killing animals after you're so used to it that you become an expert in doing it? The karma is still there. That's the meaning. So in other words, we're talking about if something is habitually done, it is still bad. That is why we have to be mindful, especially habits which are negative and bad. We have to stop those. We're still creating bad karma, and they're stored up, so to speak. So when the bad conditions arise, then all these results will come and fall upon us. So we've got to be aware so that we don't get caught up in a negative cycle of bad karma, so that we're not even conscious or mindful of doing that. All that we can say is, I have no greed, hate, or delusion when I do this. Then it is not bad karma. But delusion is very tricky. We don't even know that it is there or not there. Usually it is there if we are not awakened somehow. So it's very important to be mindful, in other words, of our action, right? So this is just a quick take on karma. Okay, we come to a very interesting problem here. Is where if you look at right thought, deluded thoughts is not mentioned. Okay. Now, first of all, where does deluded thoughts come from? It's part of the three unwholesome roots. The three unwholesome roots, we have greed, hate, delusion. Okay. Wrong thought is made up of karma, sensual desire, vyapada, ill will, vihingsa, violence, cruelty. Okay, wrong thought. Thought of sensual desire, thought of ill will, thought of cruelty, thought of violence, in other words. Right thought is the opposite. Right thought comprises nekkhamma, letting go, renunciation. Notice here, nekkhamma has got two senses. One is that attitude of letting go. The other is the action. The young Prince Siddhartha leaves home. That's also called nekkhamma. That's the action of going away from the source of suffering. Two senses. Here the sense is the mental aspect. Okay, this is the mental aspect we have to practice as lay people by letting go of anger, letting go of selfishness, letting go of confusion and delusion by studying suttas, by reflecting, by meditating. And then there is abhyapada, non-ill will, loving kindness. avihingsa, non-violence, compassion. These three comprise our right thought. Now, right view underlies all the path factors. In order for the path factors to be right, it must have right view. So right view is understood, it's always there. That is why it is not repeated. That is why we notice, let's say in right thought, you have nekkhamma, avyapada, avihingsa, without mention of right view. Because it is because of right view that we have these three qualities. Nekkhamma is rooted in right view. Avyapada is rooted in right view. Avihingsa is rooted in right view. All the other 7 factors, 7 limbs of the Eightfold Path, each of them is rooted in right view. So non-delusion is included under right view. So it's not mentioned separately. However, you'll find in a sutta, later in this sutta, you find right view mentioned. Let us look at this. Ditti Sutta. They accomplish in 4 things, bhikshus. Among, that means a meditator, has entered upon the sure, safe way and has initiated for himself the birth of the destruction of the influxes. In simple language, when you have these 4 things, you begin to reach the path of awakening, becoming a stream winner at least. With which 4? With thoughts of desirelessness, thoughts of non-hate, thoughts of non-violence, and right view. This is one of the rare passages where right view is mentioned also. So although right view is already inside, rooted, this desirelessness is rooted in right view, non-hate is rooted in right view, non-violence rooted in right view, and right view is mentioned again in this set to make sure that we understand right view is always present. In this case, it's mentioned separately because here the Buddha is talking about how we reach the path by becoming at least a stream winner, in other words. But in the usual list of the Eightfold Path, right view is not mentioned in the other limbs, but it's present. It's present there by the very fact that right view comes first. Right view comes first because it underpins all the other 7 factors. Okay, we come to the last slide now. How an Arahat thinks, the intention of the Arahat. It is found in the Chatuka Vasakara Sutta, A435. Thus he thinks vitaketi. Now notice the word for think is vitaketi. Whatever he wishes to think. So this is the Arahat, okay? He thinks whatever he wishes to think. And thinks not what he does not wish to think. He intends saṅkapeti, whatever he wishes to intend. And intends not whatever he wishes to intend. Now in this case, we're talking about the Arahat. We can't be too technical. In other words, think and intends mean the same thing. Saṅkappa and vitaka mean the same thing in the mind of the Arahat. It's just a mental process. And all these processes are non-karmic, in other words. Thus, he has attained to mastery of mind. Ceto wasipata. Okay? Ceto means mind. Wasi means power. Mastery. Pata means attain. Okay? Over his thought paths. Thought paths. This term also found in the Vitaka Sandhana Sutta, talking about the way we think. The Arahat is in full control of his mind. He's at peace with himself. So he gains at will, without trouble, no difficulty, the 4 jhanas. that are the higher mind and pleasant dwellings here and now. Right? So the monk who goes into jhana lives happily even here and now. And with that, we close this first part, and now we're open to question time. Okay, Ratna?
Yeah, thank you, Piya, for the inspiring talk. Now we have our question time. Can you please just stop sharing the screen so that we can see all the participants? Brothers and sisters, please turn on your videos.
Yeah. Do I stop sharing now, Ratna?
Yes, please.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you. Anyone has question, please raise your hand and you can ask your question live.
You can ask questions about the meditation, whatever we have done today, if you like, or any other questions about Buddhism that you have difficulty with. Now, you notice just now I talked about nekkhamma. I mentioned that nekkhamma is renunciation, and that's the key practice even we as lay people follow. This is another easy way to understand the Dhamma. Otherwise, we think in terms of rituals and all kinds of ceremonies. In other words, it's a mental attitude we must have, learning to let go. And thoughts are such that they come so fast. You have to let go in order to learn, because you have to let the next thought comes in. So you're there watching your thoughts, and then after that, you look over and say, oh, okay, this is what the story is about. So you have to watch the whole story, in other words. You cannot just watch the introduction and say, okay, now I know what the story is, right? It's not like that. So nekkhamma, letting go, means just that. You see, the most fundamental activity in our life, and what is that? The most fundamental activity is our breathing, our breath, our life, right? It is a whole series of in, out. What you breathe in, you must give back. What you take in, you must give back. What comes in, goes out. That is already a moment-to-moment renunciation. Same thing with our views of Buddhism. My view of Buddhism 50 years ago is very different from what I see now. I better understand the suttas. And then when I'm teaching you, I look at the suttas, I even learn new things. Right? Even when you proofread the suttas, you find you also learn new things. So learning the Dhamma helps us to free ourselves from unnecessary superstition, doubts, ideas that prevent us from growing, from being free. So this is the true meaning of renunciation. The renunciation doesn't mean you put on some nice looking robe, shave your hand, and you call yourself venerable this, doctor that, and people respect you. That is a worldly renunciation. You don't have to become a monk or a nun to renounce. The renunciation means your practice of letting go of the past and then watching the present, meaning letting go of the present also, because the present is also moving so fast, and letting the future where it is. The future never comes. Anagata, that which doesn't come. Okay, so the future has not come. Don't worry too much about it. You notice when sometimes you plan something, you say, oh, after this Sutta class, I'm going to do this, that, this, that. When the Sutta class is over, you say, oh, never mind, I'll do it another time. We change our mind. Okay, that's about nekkhamma, renunciation. Okay, any questions?
Anyone has any question?
Yes, unmute.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
Yeah. So, does having no ill will necessarily lead to, I can't remember what it is, it's compassion or, just now Pia said, as this non-ill will leads to something, and then non-violence
Compassion.
leads to,
Compassion.
yeah, non-violence leads to compassion, karuna,
Mhm.
right? But
Yeah.
non-ill will leads to, what is the other thing? Non-ill will lead, avyapada
Loving
leads
kindness, I
to,
think, isn't it?
that's right, yeah. Does it necessarily lead to that though? Because someone can have no ill will but does not have, is it possible? Like, someone can have no
well,
ill will but does not have loving
technically, it's
kindness?
possible.
Yeah.
It is possible. For example, let's say when we go into the train and then we see an elderly person standing, we kind of get up and then let the person sit down. In some culture, you don't need loving kindness for that. It's kind of
Yeah.
you do it
Automatic.
because that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So and it is regarded as being kind, but that is a social convention. Of course, there are others who do not have loving kindness. They won't stand up if they know this poor old lady or old man is standing there, and you say, "Oh, this person lacks compassion." So it's a technical question. It can happen both ways, actually. But the point remains that what is regarded as civil can be done spontaneously, automatically, not spontaneously. Spontaneously is a very nice word, which done automatically, because you are expected to do that. You have been conditioned to do that. It is social manners, isn't it? That is something else, yeah. But if you don't have to do it and you go all the way to do it and it really benefits the other person, I'm sure loving kindness is involved. It's good to know that loving kindness is involved because it also heals you, it builds you up in a very positive way. That's the good part of it. We want that kind of quality. Okay? Okay. Okay. Next question.
Thank you, Rachel, for your question.
Thank you.
Teacher, Piya?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, Pamuja, please.
Hi. So, Arahat can happen this lifetime or future?
Oh,
Or
it can happen anytime. As long as you follow the teaching, of course, in the case of the Arahat, they have to go into jhanas, do deep meditation. You have to really practice. I would say it's possible. Not easy, but possible. For lay people, of course, it can be very difficult because we are so involved in the world. Okay, so attaining stream winning is not difficult at all. In other words, you can still get married, run a business as a stream winner, but as a stream winner, you'll be a much better person. You'll be happier, and you'll be a very wonderful person to work with, to be with. You'll be a good counselor, and so on. Okay, even to learn the qualities of a stream winner, even though you're not yet a stream winner, is also a good thing. Okay. So don't resign yourself and say, "Oh no, there's no hope of us ever becoming Arhat." It's become such a mantra that we are Buddhists who give up even before we try. I think this is an excuse for being lazy, which is not good. Okay. Yeah. All right.
and where does Arahats go?
When you put out a fire, where does it go? No, it doesn't go anywhere. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't go anywhere. No more conditions for rebirth. Okay.
Let's see.
All right.
Okay.
Yes. Any other question?
Thank you, Pamuja. Sister Gexiu or Dr. Gexiu, please unmute yourself. She has a question.
Yeah, Brother Piya.
Yes.
Just now you translated nikama as desirelessness.
Desirelessness.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether I remember correctly. Nibbana itself, maybe you can explain the root word. Does it mean no desire as well?
Possible. Yeah, that's what I was saying, this polysemy. Sometimes you have the same word, but the sense, the direction it is pointing us they are different. but it's the same word. Okay, so words can be tricky. It's not a problem with the idea, it's a problem with the word. Nibbana is Pali, Nirvana is Sanskrit. One explanation is vana. Vana can mean forest. Vana. Okay, so Nirvana or Nibbana means out of the forest, away from the forest. So here the forest represents the forest of greed, hate, delusion. We are free from that kind of dangerous forest. Okay? So Nirvana is overcoming of all such the negative roots. That's one meaning of it. You are no more caught up with greed, hatred, delusion. You will not be reborn because of that. That's one way of putting it. There are other positive what you call words like Nirvana is said to be the cave, because the cave is a very safe place in ancient times. In the storm, you're very safe there. It is called the cool lake. In ancient times, they need this kind of water for drinking and for washing. So there are also metaphors, but basically Nirvana means the ending of rebirth and suffering. This is your last rebirth, and after that, the fire goes out. What we understand as life now is no more there. Because of the absence of all these contradicting states that bring suffering, that's called Nirvana. For example, Sariputta was very happy one day and says, oh, Nirvana is such a happy place. He's just talking metaphorically, it's not a place. I just say Nirvana is happiness. Someone asked, why is it so? He said, well, Nirvana, you're totally free from feelings, you know. So because we are free from feelings, that is Nirvana. But like you and I, we are not free from feelings. We somehow we have to feel physically through the six senses, mentally through the mind, and we react. We are affected by all these feelings. We are saddened. Even when we are happy, then the happiness goes away. Then sadness comes in. We are caught up with this. Whereas in Nirvana, there is this just joy, this pleasant feeling of peace. That's how we put into words. Because if we try to from here, you know, you look at a mountain far away, it's quite difficult to appreciate what it's like up there. Okay, you have to go there. So this is where sometimes, as lay people, we say, "Oh, Nirvana, wow, you know, there's nothing there. How can we be happy?" So we have this kind of idea. See, but then we can look at Nirvana in a very simple way. For example, you're angry and then you realize there's nothing to be angry about, is that the person didn't do anything wrong, and the anger goes away and you're very happy. Because of the ending on the anger, that is called Nirvana. A moment of Nirvana. Now, isn't that wonderful? The anger is gone. Right? So imagine you multiply that moment as forever, so to speak. So that's one way to understand what Nirvana is. The anger disappearing, the hate disappearing, the delusion disappearing, the fear disappearing. It's one simple way of, for the unawakened mind to picture it. Okay? All right, yes? You can still ask if you're not clear about what I've said. Huh? Continue asking.
In other words, you don't have to be dead to be in Nibbana, is it?
Yeah,
This is
you can't relate to Nirvana. You either attain it or you don't attain it. So don't worry too much about Nirvana at this point. Reflect on impermanence first. Right? Take baby steps. Take baby steps. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Any more questions? This is a chance to ask.
Remember, intention, especially intention. Okay, you know, I like the part where the Buddha says it can be either you can be conscious of it or unconscious. You know, either way. That is why we'll be very careful about, you know, how we do things. Don't make a habit of it and you stop thinking about it. You just do. You're so used to doing it that, you know, you don't even know people are hurt or you are hurt and it affects you. So occasionally you have to ask yourself, am I really happy? What am I not happy about? What can I do about it? Try to at least find out what's going on and then see what can you do about it. That's one way of putting it. There are always people who are negative. There are also people who are positive. So if you find there are lots of negative people in your life, then you tell yourself, I got to make more friends who are positive, for example. Yeah. So, I mean, my work is a good example. I can be very successful if I talk very nicely, follow what the people in the big temples want to hear, and you know, you get invited to give talks or these very big crowds. But then the thing is, something is wrong there. So lots of Buddhists are suffering, and we're not helping the old who are lonely and fearful, and the monks themselves don't keep to the rules. You know, so nobody's telling them that they should not do this. It's wrong. So I told myself, wow, if I really want to be a Buddhist, I should at least be the right kind of Buddhist and teach the right kind of Buddhism. Because after 50 years, I've known Buddhism, and I don't tell people what is right, then I'm lying to myself, you see? And that's not good at all. So we have to, in a sense, take a stand. Take a stand, at least for ourselves. Am I doing the right thing? What can I do? Right? We always fear failure. We fear we're alone. But then sometimes it's better this way. You know, you don't have the madding crowd. You don't have those people out there who really are not serious Buddhists anyway. And we have people who are really serious. You are all are serious about knowing what the Buddha taught, and you are under real teaching, the historical Buddha's teaching, and that's the most wonderful choice we all make here. And we have the opportunity to know the suttas now, not like a century ago, 1,000 years ago, where it's so difficult to get the Pali suttas. You have the Sanskrit teaching, all those amazing stories written by Central Asian, the Chinese, and other later Buddhists, adding all kind of new things, which the Buddha did not teach. Now we have access to the suttas again. It's like we're given a second chance, and we have to seize this. The Pali suttas are very clear about the Buddha's teachings. Okay.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Questions? Still a bit of time. I was afraid I might not have enough time, and I always have a lot of time.
We still have 25 minutes.
Yeah, about that, yes.
Can I just ask if our hearts are free from the 5 aggregates? Because you say Nirvana, the Bana is
okay,
4.
very good question. What we are comprised of the 5 aggregates of clinging. We cling to them. We cling to form. We cling to feeling, perception, and so on. So they're called aggregates of clinging. The other hearts have aggregates too. They have a body, and they get hurt if they fall. You know.
And you said just now they get happy as well.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that when they fall they're happy.
No, you say they feel happy. Like,
yeah, they feel happy naturally.
Yeah.
Okay? And they're like a doctor. A doctor gets hurt and says, oops, I've cut myself. He's not going to faint or get angry about it, you see. So here, the arhats have body, form, feeling, perception, formation, consciousness, but they do not create karma. They have no clinging. And that's what keeps them in this world, keeps the Buddha going for 45 years, because the aggregates are still there. But once he passes away, the mind is never rising again, so no more aggregates. So we don't see the Buddha anymore in the way we're used to, so to speak.
So how come they say that arhats will die within 2 weeks because they don't want to eat?
Oh, no.
Buddha kept himself going for 45 years. So like, is he a bodhisattva as in the Mahayana way?
Oh, what you meant is you're talking about a layman, a lay person. If he becomes an arhat, he will not last beyond a week. I have asked many teachers this question, why none of them say that. They say it is, we don't know. And that's quite true. No, nobody knows why this is said anyway. But I think if you think logically, when a person becomes an arhat, he has no more desire. He won't plan, or what should I get tomorrow? He won't have any money. He doesn't bother about money. He's not going to worry, what am I going to eat tomorrow? He's going to go into meditation, and he'll just go on meditating. And if you don't eat, how long can you last? Maybe a week without food, you know, right? So that's one way of putting it, because he will not last, because he has no more attachment. But the tradition says the Arhat must become a monk or a nun. If you become a monk or a nun, there is the Vinaya, the monk's rules. You got to go on alms round. You have to eat, take care of your robes. You have to answer Dhamma questions. You go on practicing. So
I didn't know this. I didn't know this, that the Arhat has to become a monk. I didn't know this.
That's what it become.
I didn't know the Arhat has to become a monk.
Okay, now you know. Yes, I'm happy that you hear this. That is why it's important to ask even some questions we think we know the answer of. Okay, so once the Arhat becomes a renunciant, becomes a monk, a monastic, he has to follow the rules, and he becomes useful to us by teaching us. Okay, so for the layman, it's a bit difficult. In other words, so I hope that answers the question. Right, that's good. Okay, so even if you have heard answers before, you can ask the question again for another angle, or to broaden, remind yourself of what you have learned before. Yeah?
Okay, Sister Teo Siu Fong has answered.
Yes, Siu Fong, yeah.
Or she just grabbed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a matter of curiosity. Is it true that Ajahn Chah was an Arahant? Okay,
this is a difficult question. Of course, if you ask me, I say I wish he were. If someone says, let's say if I say monk so-and-so is an Arhat, what is your understanding? You might say, wow, Piya must be an Arhat too, right? It takes another Arhat to declare someone as an Arhat. This is the problem, see? If the Buddha declares that so-and-so is an Arhat, yes, it's possible. So if someone else declares A or B is an Arhat, are we to assume that A also is an Arhat? So this is tricky, you see. So no wise, respectful Buddhist would say such thing, no matter how much we respect the person. All right. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he were an Arhat. Okay. He lives a life which is exemplary, definitely. Okay. So those things are good enough for us to respect him in that way. In our private mind, yeah, we can say he lives like an Arhat, but we do not know. I mean, there are many good monks, because they keep to the Vinaya, they are not enlightened, they're not awakened, but they really live good lives. They're exemplary, they're knowledgeable, they're kind. But they're not Arhats, not Arhats. So we don't know. Basically, I can say we don't know. The next part of the answer is, it doesn't really matter. Imagine if you say, my teacher, Ajahn so is an Arhat, and you're very proud of the fact, but you don't practice. Then the Buddha said, you're like a spoon that carries the soup but doesn't taste it. See? So it doesn't matter whether your teacher is an Arhat or not. The question is, are you one or not? So it's important that you yourself attain that level. Then when you look around, you say, oh, I know, so-and-so is this, B is that. It's a stream winner, this is a one-returner, this is a non-returner, and this is an Arhat. Right? So it's a matter of, we have to reach that level first before we can declare others so-and-so. That is why when you read books, we say, oh, this Ajahn is an Arhat and so on. Don't be too certain about this thing. This is piety, a pious statement, which may not be true, which is actually not encouraged, because people with wrong view will look up to them as power figures. You know, when I was young, those days as a monk, people come to me and say, oh, you know, this teacher is an Arhat, he respects this monk is a sage. And if I ever dare to say that, oh, you know, he taught this wrongly, then I'll be warned by this person, you must not slander a sage. So it becomes political, see? So you have to be very careful, because people who are not awakened, declaring others who are awakened, and then they want to make sure that you listen to them and it becomes politics. So that's not very wise. So the Buddha says, go back to your practice. The Buddha gives the term supreme worship, parama puja. So don't worship me. Like the Buddha was passing away, lying down on his right side, and then the story goes that these beautiful flowers are falling from the sky. Fine sandalwood was wafting in the air, very pleasant, sweet smell, and you can hear beautiful divine music. Then the Buddha says, the Ananda, the Devas are paying their homage, but this is not the way. You and I should do it, the Buddha says. He says the supreme worship is you practice, and so that you attain the path in this life itself. That is the way to worship the Buddha properly. I may say the Buddha is an arhat, and we all accept it as a fact, but that doesn't make me an arhat. So the supreme worship is you yourself practice those things that the Buddha himself practiced that made him an arhat. That is the right thing to do. Okay, not labeling and running after status. The status is not the state. The state is not the status. Status is what we project onto people. A state is the situation where you yourself, you have worked and earned it, and you become good and happy because of that. And this is what the suttas remind us. Okay. All right, next question, please. We have about 15 minutes more.
Thank you, Piya. Any more questions?
Remember those days, what we'll do is, okay, we're going to end now, and then the questions will come.
Okay, if there's no question, can we just get some feedback from anybody who wants to share what you have learned from this class so far, and does it help you to in any way? Anybody wants? Oh, okay. Brother David just raised his hand.
Yeah.
Please unmute yourself.
Hi. I just like to make this statement that I agree with Brother Piya about what he said just now, about caring for your own practice rather than listening to what people say, this person is an arhat and that person and so on and so forth. Because I have seen I have met with a lot of groups back in Penang where there are many people claim that this so and so has attained certain level, that so and so has attained certain level. And I have to be very careful in saying things like this. I do not want to
very true.
Karma. It's scary. But I think because it is quite rampant. And yes, in Penang, there are many practitioners, there are many monks who actually practice the Achan lineage, are residing around the islands, up on the hills, and they are very good practitioners. And I myself have went to visit them and then see that they are very earnest in their practice. But I cannot say anything about achievement. The most important thing is, I think, what we should do is we should take them as an inspiration to practice, and especially to develop our meditation, develop our paramis, rather than, well, because I find that sometimes prior to COVID, there are many groups, or rather many groups, they have organized a lot of quote-unquote pilgrimage trips to Thailand to make offerings, because it was said that this person has attained this level, that person attained level, and if you make offerings to such a person, then you will gain certain kind of karma, which is almighty and all-powerful.
So it becomes fashionable.
Yeah, it becomes a fashion statement kind of thing. I still think that the onus is on us to actually practice, to actually learn. And if possible, we find a good teacher that can guide us along the way. I think that is the essence of the teachings. And that's why I say,
we follow the Buddha. The Buddha reminds us the best teacher is the Dhamma. You follow the Dhamma and you teach yourself at your own pace, at your own rate, and you know your own problems better.
Yeah, that's why I say I do agree, and I'm 100% with what Brother Piya has said just now, the statements that he made. I think that is the most important thing that most of us.
It's a very good idea to respect monks who you see as good practitioners. It encourages them also to continue practicing and ask them Dhamma questions. You know, I keep telling this story very often. You know, I met Ajahn Sumedho only once, and very early in my monk years, and he was a young monk then, because he also belongs to the same order. He came to our temple to pay his respect to the abbot in my temple in Bangkok. So I already heard about him, so I was so happy he was there. One reason is because he speaks English, whereas most of the Thais, you know, everyone there speaks Thai. So when I met him, I was so happy to speak English with him. And what else does a good Dhamma practitioner monk speak? He spoke to me on the Vinaya. And I sat down there for 2 hours. It said nothing but on the Vinaya. And that 2 hours was really happy and peaceful for me. Even to this day, I just need to recall, although I don't remember the exact words, but I remember the peace that I felt when he spoke to me. And that is good enough. And that guides me in my work, and so on. Okay? I don't think about his status. The best I can say is he's a good monk, and we should see him as a good example. Okay? And then the other teacher I met is Mahasi Sayadaw. Again, due to good karma, I never planned it. I spent a rains retreat in Holland, and he happened to visit Holland that year. And then this monk told me, "Would you like to join a retreat with this Mahasi Sayadaw? You know, in a geodesic dome beside the North Sea, 3 months with a north wind blowing." And it was a really wonderful retreat. So that 3 months taught me a lot about the Vipassana that he has been teaching. So is the other experience. I felt very good, that I felt so happy that I had a chance to meet these two good teachers. And I wish many more monks would do that instead of pursuing, you know, this MBA, PhD, and so on, which make them lose their monkhood, which is not good. So when we renounce the world, we should be letting go of the world and find the inner peace and bring that peace to others, people like you, like us. Okay. Right. Any more feedback? Anyone?
If I may just add, I was actually in the midst of reading a book by Ajahn Sujat, and it's very inspiring. And I feel that his teachings are very direct, even his meditation teachings. And I was just reading about question and answers. They compile the people that actually visited him, the questions that they asked him, and the answers that he gave to them. And I find that it is very inspiring. And I think that's how we should be doing. Get inspiration from good teachers and practice it ourselves, put it into practice instead of look outside.
Yeah.
We have.
So in other words, when you see a good teacher, you're not there to promote them. You're not promoters, but you follow the path. That is called the highest worship, Parama Puja, by your own practice. That's why I keep telling people, you know, what I've discovered in the suttas. The Buddha says, you reflect on impermanence regularly, it becomes a habitual karma. In this life itself, the Buddha guarantees you attain the path. If not in this life, at the moment of passing away. This sentence convinced me, at the moment of passing away. In other words, when habitual karma works, the person passes away, he will attain stream winning because of this reflection has been doing regularly. the reflection or the perception of impermanence. Okay, and it's a very easy perception to do. It can be done by in all the 4 postures: standing, walking, sitting, or lying down. Constantly telling yourself impermanent. Whatever happens to you, reflect on the impermanence of it. Next time you see wrinkles on your face, impermanent. You see a white hair, impermanent. And you won't regret it. You'll be happy because it's the truth. And it will guide your life. You will not make mistakes. If you do make mistakes, you will learn from it. That is why the Anicca Chakku Sutta, S25.1, is a very important sutta for you to read for practice. Even if you are not clever in all the other suttas, this one practice sutta is enough to bring you to the path in this life. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Piya. And next we have Sister Grace Lim.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Can't hear you.
Yes, Grace.
You need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I got to click unmute. If you have no microphone, you can type in the chat box.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and
Yes,
clear.
loud and clear.
All right. So sorry. Good evening, Brother
Yes.
Piya.
Yes, good evening.
My question is to do with being a Buddha. And I see from so many Buddhas of past, they always have to be a male. So I'm a female. What do I, as a practicing Buddhist, have to do for my lifetimes to come that I will be born a male? And of course, I mean, have this very high aspiration of one day, I don't know, be in the position to perhaps walk the path of the Buddha.
Oh, that's very noble indeed. Okay, there is the Buddha, only one in each world system at a time in the world period.
Yes.
We are fortunate in our world period. I think we have 5 Buddhas, but during each world, what's called a Buddha period, there's only one Buddha. You just need one Buddha to awaken, like the inventor of the wheel, the one who discovers fire. So just one Buddha. But arahats, countless. So we don't need to be a Buddha to be enlightened, but we need to be arahat. Even then also, we can further say we only need to be a stream winner, because once you're a stream winner, the more 7 more lives to go, you're already sure on the way. Don't listen to those doubters who say, oh, you can fall back and so on. It's not true. So whether you are a man or a woman, you can attain stream winning. You can attain any of the 4 paths. Stream winning, one returning, non-returning, arahathood. You don't need, because we're talking about beyond male, female here. In fact, the idea that the Buddha is a man is more of a social phenomenon, because society is such. These are the kind of people who will be well educated, who are given the choice, who see all the sufferings, and then they make the effort, and then they become teachers. It's a social phenomenon. Okay? And it arises at a time when the society, like India in Buddha's time, is very advanced. And once they're very advanced, you always see this patriarchal thing, because the men are the ones who become the rulers and who make money and who use all the power. It's the way society works. So in order for the Buddha to stand up in this kind of society, he has to be like them in that sense. But remember, he doesn't function like any sexual being anymore once he's the Buddha. He's beyond sexuality. Okay? So we're not talking about the body anymore. We're not even talking about the mind. We're talking about freedom from body and mind. So you don't need to be a Buddha to become awakened. There is this, I think it's more of a Mahayana thing where they think in terms of status. Wow, everyone must be Buddha. It sounds so great, but nobody actually becomes Buddha anyway. It's just it's a statement, not a state. You see, so I told myself, why can't we just speak simply? Be a stream winner. You just need to step on the path, and you're on it already. Don't say you must reach the end of the path in this life itself, and nobody does it anyway. We just say it only. So saying and doing are two different things.
Right.
Say the small things, be humble, and yet we start the path, we start walking. And if you do that, you're already beginning to walk. Where the others they say, oh yes, I will walk, I will take the best traffic, I will take the best car, I will do this, I will do that, but they never actually go about doing it. They collect maps, they collect videos of the city they're going to go to, but they don't actually go on the journey. So take that step. Reach stream winning, you're on the way already. So that's the message of the Buddha, from my understanding. So it doesn't matter male or female. All right?
Right, sadhu.
Okay. Right.
Thank you.
Couple more
Thank you,
minutes.
everyone. So can we have everyone turn on their videos
Yes.
so they can take a photo?
Yeah, and then we can close this session. Right, today is a May Day smile, okay?
Okay, you ready? One, two, three, smile. One more. One, two, three, smile. Thank you very much.
Really good to see everyone. Let's see you all again next round, okay?
Okay, so now we'll close.
Yeah, we will recite the closing salutation. We dedicate merits. This is a time when we spend a moment to remind ourselves of the good and the positive steps we have taken. We have recited the precepts, reminding us of how to refine our body and speech. We will have practiced meditation to refine the mind and listen to suttas and ask questions. These are very good karma. Remember them as reflections. They will strengthen you in your efforts to meditate and become happy in the future. In this wonderful, peaceful moment, let us aspire. May I be well and happy. May you be well and happy. May you be at peace with yourself so that you can continue to practice the Dhamma effectively. And it's also the time in this peace and joy of the moment, send your kind thoughts to people who are important to you, your loved ones, your teachers, people you know, people who need some kindness, people who are not well. Send your thoughts to them. You can even send your kind thoughts to the pets, to the animals that you love. Wish them well and happy. And having done that, let us now close with a salutation to the three jewels in deep gratitude. Arahang sammā sambuddho bhagava buddhang bhagavantang abhivademi. Bow down. Swakato bhagavata dhammo dhammang namassami. Bow down. Supatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho sanghang namami. Bow down. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you,
Right,
Piya.
thank you.
Thank you.